Welcome to the Wellness on Tap podcast with your host, Dr. Debs Eastwood.
Are we good, Mark? Yeah, good to go. Wonderful. So, I am sitting across my glorious friend, Pollyanna England. She has brought her little dog, Bruno, with her, who's currently at my feet, being super cute. But if you do hear any odd little noises, it's not mine and Pollyanna's guts going rife or whatever. But it might be, but we're not going to admit to it now because we've got poor little Bruno that we can blame. But nonetheless, you may hear a canine interlude from time to time, and it's another first for the Wellness on Tap, having a wonderful dog here. So I'm very, very happy. Welcome, my darling.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, bless you.
And I hope Bruno will behave himself. I'm sure he will.
I genuinely don't mind if he doesn't, to be honest. I think it'd just be wonderful. I mean, yeah, I guess. All right. Yeah, it'd be nice if he did, but I really don't mind. So I have asked you to come and talk to me today because you have quite an incredible journey to do with healing that has involved, experiences of the NHS for you and those nearest to you, but has primarily taken a full circle because of the healing practices that you as a healer have started with. So where do you want to start? Do you want to start at the beginning or do you want to do at the beginning?
Yeah, I'll start at the beginning. So I did a holistic therapy diploma in 2004. Prior to that, in 2001, I did Reiki and went through all 3 attunements and became a Reiki master and loved it and absolutely loved it. And I had a small practice. And I think one of the things that when people do Reiki, when they're attuned, you have this, whoever attunes you, like you kind of look up to them and think, oh my goodness, they're so amazing, like they can do it, but can I do it? And I remember thinking that about my friend Helen Leathers, who trained me or attuned me. And I have that with the people that I've attuned. So
wonderful.
It is, but it's not that, it's that I want people to know that it's not me, it's not Helen, it's just universal energy and anyone can do it. And the best thing you can do is practice and just keep practicing. And when I started Reiki, I got the opportunity that at the time my children are at school and they were doing indulgence evenings in schools. So you got a little taster of reflexology, of Reiki, of, whatever, massage, whatever anybody wanted, and they just had like these 15-minute sessions. And so quite early on in my Reiki journey, I did lots and lots of these indulgence evenings. So it really helped me get confident in doing what I was doing. And then really weird things started to happen. So I had one lady come in to the room and she had a little boy with her. He was about 6 years old, and obviously the children weren't there. And I thought, maybe she couldn't get childcare and everything else, because this boy looked absolutely real. And then he just disappeared.
Oh.
So he was a spirit. And so I Reiki'd her, and it was quite early on in my Reiki journey. So I'm like, do I say anything? Is it going to freak the poor woman out? And at the end, I thought, I'll be brave. And I said to her, when you came in, there was this little boy with you. I would say he was about 5, 6. And she burst into tears and said that she'd lost a baby 5, 6 years ago. So it was, and I said, he's still here, because he called her mum.
Oh.
Like when she walked in, he called her mum. So I knew it was her child. So, when you do Reiki, a lot of the time nothing happens, but sometimes like magical things happen like that. And it's really great. So I did Reiki and I did reflexology and massage and therapy. And I worked out of a clinic in Enfield in London. And I did that for a few years. And then when I was looking at the future, I thought, I don't have a retirement. I don't have a pension. So I kind of need to do something. And someone put me on a property journey. So I ended up putting everything down with my holistic therapy and going on a massive property journey. And I did lots of courses. I had a property background anyway, but I went on lots of courses. I learned about options. I learned about HMOs, and then like you get in the classroom and you learn it. Then you go buy your property, and then you really learn it.
It's like learning to drive a car, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think every landlord could write a book on some of the stories that have happened. And it was quite a journey. And obviously with everything that's going on now with the increase of mortgages and, taking away Section 24, not getting interest relief, and everything just became much harder and much harder. And then, as you well know, I had a really horrific year last year.
You did, my darling.
And a dear friend of mine was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and they said that she had a year to live. And so it was palliative care from straight away because it wasn't picked up. They treated her for IBS for 2 years, and it was cancer. And so she had a leiosarcoma cancer, and it had just gone all in her body. So it literally was palliative care. And I was taking her to the Marsden every 3 weeks for chemo, and she was really trying to be positive, and we were trying to do everything to be positive. We had lots of natural alternatives and taking turkey tail and lots of different things, and like eating really well, drinking lots. But she could succumb to it, and we buried her in November. But it was just heartbreaking. Yeah, it was really, really heartbreaking. And also exhausting on myself, like being a carer, doing the constant worry. I was her next of kin at Marsden because her son wasn't deemed fit enough to make the decisions that needed to be made. So it was a big responsibility.
That is a big responsibility.
And then while we were going through that, my daughter was diagnosed with cancer, and she's only 34. She was only 34. So she had to have surgery. It was a melanoma on her face. And they did the surgery, and it wasn't successful, so they had to do it again. And so I had to step in and look after her 2 children. She's a single mum. And so I was a mum for a few months, running the kids to school while she was recovering each time from her surgery. And she really struggled with that mentally because it was on her face. Yeah. And she's a very beautiful, very young, attractive female. And a lot of her confidence comes from how she looks. So she's been on a journey herself, definitely, like a healing journey, that she had to learn that she's more than what she looks like. So, and as a mum, you want the best for your children. And it was I really struggled with not being able to cure, not be able to just take away her pain. And it was her journey, and she had to go through it. Yeah. So that was really challenging.
Were they geographically fairly separate as well, or?
No, actually, they weren't. So the hospitals
a tiny
were
blessing.
Yeah, the hospitals were. Sandra was at the Marsden, but Courtney was at Guy's and Thomas.
Okay.
So my car's done a lot of miles into London, so from Hertfordshire. I know the road to London really, really well now.
I was very impressed when you were driving us around this weekend. I just thought, she's got no sat-nav on here. She knows where she's going. This is amazing.
Yeah, I think I'd probably be a really good taxi driver now.
But that's not a good career move for you, is it?
No, I wouldn't want to do that as a career move. But I have spent far too much in hospital. So I have spent time at the Marsden, spent time at Guy's and Thomas's, plus the local hospitals, like Stevenage, Lister. Sometimes we had to take Sandra there, sometimes when she was ill with her chemo. And the QE2. And then my mum ended up in hospital. So, and I think my mum's 86, and she takes a lot of paracetamol and what's the other one? I can never say it.
What, the ibuprofen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say it. I really can't say ibuprofen.
What about Nurofen? Can you say that one instead of
Nurofen.
Or Brufen? Brufen, we call it.
Nurofen, yeah. Nurofen type. And she had 3 tears on her colon. So, I mean, I know that you know this, but these tablets create little tears. So she was bleeding, and she was admitted to Harlow Hospital, and they couldn't find what was wrong. She was in the wrong ward. They wouldn't do anything for 3 weeks while she was in the wrong ward. So literally she was having a blood transfusion every week because she was losing so much blood and they weren't doing anything. I went in and lost my shit. And
understandably, yes.
They finally moved her to the right ward, and it still took another 4 weeks before they diagnosed her. And, you know, once she was diagnosed, she had treatment the next day and she was out 2 days later. But it was she was in there, she had 7 blood transfusions. She was in there for 2 months, and it was all so unnecessary.
I mean, totally. And they're on about trying to save resources. That aside, I mean, yes, of course they would have saved resources if they'd have done the correct treatment once diagnosed straight away.
Yeah.
But what an awful thing for your mum and you and the rest of the family to have to go through, having somebody in hospital for 2 months, unnecessarily to start with, but without an answer. And then having an answer and still nothing happening. I can't imagine the frustration that caused you.
And we honestly thought we were going to lose her.
I'm not surprised.
We thought we were going to lose her because obviously they did a colonoscopy and they had to give her, they gave her medication and it was too strong. And then, you know, it was just the poor woman had no dignity.
No.
She had no dignity. And it was just really awful. And at the same time, while my mum was in hospital, I have an older sister and I was waiting for her to come back because she was visiting my sister who lives in Israel because my niece got married out there. We were all supposed to go in October and obviously that didn't happen because of the war. And then when it got postponed, only my eldest sister could go, so she went. And I was desperately waiting for her to come home so that we could at least tag team and I wouldn't have to go to Harlow Hospital every day. And then I got the call to say that she was in hospital. She'd collapsed at the airport and that she had something wrong with her heart. And so I was literally, instead of getting relief, I was going to one ward to see my sister and then upstairs to see my mum. It was crazy. Honestly, it was so crazy. It was so crazy. And then finally, when everybody got better and everything else, and then I crashed.
I was going to say, you had your health scare then, didn't you?
Exactly.
Unsurprisingly, really.
And my mental health has really, really suffered. But I ended up in hospital myself in Cambridge when I was visiting friends and had a double seizure. And I honestly think it was just my body saying, it's enough.
Yeah, slow down, girl.
You just can't keep doing it. You know, you just can't keep keeping on.
No.
So, and that, I had to slow down. In actual fact, I had to stop. I just had to stop everything. So I've had this time of reflection and done a life review. And I think that with the beauty of hindsight now, that's a good thing. And I would really love to run retreats where we do a life review without having the crisis in the first place. You don't have to have the crisis. Let's just sit down and get this shit all sorted. And so have this life review so you don't have to go through this. Because I've always been strongly independent, too independent. It's a trauma response, but but it doesn't help. It doesn't help. And I've had to learn to ask for help. I've had to learn to say, I need help, please help me, and receive it. And be okay with people looking after me.
Yeah.
And it's even my kids, I think for me, this has been the most challenging is accepting help from my children. My children are adults.
Yeah.
My youngest is 24. My children are adults and they want to help. They phone and check up on me, which is hilarious. and being able to let them help me. And it makes them feel good. And I'm proud that they are the adults that they are, that they want to do that we have the relationship, that they want to do that. So with everything that happened, I decided to put the property down, like I'm selling everything, and start again. And that journey has taken me back to the beginning. So I went to go and see my dear friend Theo in Enfield from Cosmocare, and we sat down and he blew my mind with everything that he is doing at his clinic. And I know that you're going to have him on the podcast next month, and I can't wait for people to hear all about that. So I'll be collaborating. That's the other thing I've learned this year is collaborating. So I'll be collaborating with Theo, and I hope that we can collaborate ourselves. And I want to work from a clinic where I can do my Reiki. I can do the Reiki trainings. I think everybody should have Reiki, where we can run retreats and do life review. But the amount of technology for health that is out there now is amazing. And having seen inside of a lot of hospitals in the last 12, 15 months, I think everybody needs to start taking their own health. They need to take responsibility for their own health, because you don't want to be in these institutions. And don't get me wrong, I am not saying that the nurses or the doctors or anything are wrong. They're not. They are doing the best they can in a broken system. It's an absolutely, and if anyone thinks this system is not broken, just go and spend time there, because it's ridiculous. It's utterly, utterly ridiculous. So I'm on a mission. Yay! It's for everybody to take responsibility for their own health and start, however small, that needs to be, whether it's like hydrogen and water, or whether it's, taking a supplement, or whether it's like looking at your diet. What are you putting in yourself? And is it the best quality? Can you grow your own veg? That I don't trust the supermarkets. I don't trust, everything is a corporation. The supermarkets are a corporation, all the companies that make all the medication and everything. It's a business. It's a business. Nobody is going to care for your health more than you should.
Yes.
You need to care for your own health, because there isn't anyone who's going to be there and pick it up. And I know that I may be too independent, but by the same token, you need to be responsible. You need to be self-responsible.
You do. I want to take you back just a second to something you said just a couple of minutes ago about how you felt you had changed in your ability to be able to ask for help and, importantly, to receive it. That sounds to me like it's very strongly linked with this eye-opening ability now for you to be able to see that collaboration is indeed a thing.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. A year ago, I wouldn't have used those words. I wouldn't have been so passionate about collaboration.
Yeah.
It's, I want to say, I don't really want to say, but I think that I've probably been a control freak most of my life. And that's a fear response. You know, it's a fear response. I had a very traumatic upbringing, and that left a scar on me. That I've had lots of therapy. I've done lots of work on myself. And I feel whole. I feel complete. I don't feel that it runs my life. However, part of what's left over is this need for control, or the fear, not being run on fear. So the switch, I feel, the biggest way I can explain it is that a lot of my life was run by fear. So as a youngster, we were dirt poor. I got my school uniform from the matron at school, and I hated it. You know, we live in quite an affluent area, and the other kids at school were quite affluent. So I felt it, you know, it felt not nice at all. So I was determined that I would be successful, and I was, but it was driven by fear. And the other thing, I was thinking about this the other day, that why was I like that? Because at 16, bonkers, I know. I went to all the local churches where I lived to find the good people.
Okay.
Okay, it's
Why
interesting,
did you feel
right?
the need for
Okay,
that?
so here I go. So I was thinking about this. Why did I do that? And the reason I think I did that, apart from what happened to me as a child, was that I did a paper round from 10 years old. So from 10 years old, I used to help my sister, she's 3 years older than me, do her paper round. And then by the time I was 11, I had my own paper round. So for 6 years, I delivered the morning papers. And I used to read the headlines every day. You know, I would read the headlines every day on the newspaper, and none of it was good.
No.
You know, I remember, and this obviously I'm going to give my age away now, standing on a, what are the manhole covers, and the Black Panther had buried one of the bodies in a manhole cover. I'm like, so it was like, these are traumatic things for a child.
Yeah, for a youngster, for sure.
Yeah, so I think because on a daily basis, every single day, I was reading all these terrible things. It was the time of all the Yorkshire Ripper and everything else. It was horrific. So my view of the world was that it's not safe, it's bad, and I wanted to go and find the good people.
Now I understand.
And then I joined the Catholic Church.
Oops.
Ah, dear. I didn't
How
last
did that
long,
work out for you?
And again, you know, if I do something 100%. So I was like, you do a couple of years training, and then I was running the youth group. I was running the Holy Communion group. So I was completely and utterly involved. And we had an amazing vicar, and he used to let the congregation be part of the service, and the youngsters used to have a little band that, you know, they would sing and have guitar and everything else. So it was a really fun, lovely church.
Yeah.
And then I moved out of the area, and I came back a few years later, and my vicar had retired, my priest rather had retired. And this new priest was there, and it was like a second wife had come in, you know, like when someone remarries and they go into the marital home and clear it completely. Yeah. That's what he did. You know, he'd absolutely cleared it. The children weren't allowed to do anything. No one was allowed to speak. No one else was allowed to read any of the sermon. Nothing, you know. And I sat in the pew and I thought, this isn't a man. You know, this isn't a church of God. This is like whatever he's preaching there. You know, it was going to be governed by him. And I didn't think that he was a nice man. And I walked out and I never went back. But it is funny, isn't it? It's funny when you look back at the decisions that you've made. So, and I think that that's why I was looking for good people.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense now.
Yeah. Sorry, we're out in a bit off tangent there.
No. That was interesting nonetheless.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Tricky childhood.
Yeah.
With poverty involved. Impulsive decisions. But then on a healing journey.
Yeah.
How did you go from the Catholic Church to the healing? What was the transition there?
I think I got to rest because when I was younger, I was so knew what I didn't want. So it was the fear, like running me and everything else. And I had my daughter, and then when I met my husband, I was a single parent with my daughter, and he kept asking me out and I kept saying no. And when he asked me to bring my daughter, I thought, oh, this will stop him ringing. So we went on a date and everything happened really, really quickly, and we ended up being together really, really quickly. And then when I fell pregnant with my second daughter, I worked for a newspaper and I ran the advertising for a newspaper in Crouch End in North London. And again, we'd had a new boss, the boss who I loved and worked with for 3 years. Then this guy came in and he was an ex-military and he used to walk around the office with a ruler under his arm. He was a complete and utter dick. He really was. But he was not happy that I was pregnant and going on maternity leave, and he made my life hell. And when I went on maternity leave, I'd been at home for 3 weeks and I woke up in a hot sweat saying, oh my God, we need to do the education supplement. And I hadn't been at work for 3 weeks.
Wow.
So, I mean, newspapers, it's like, it's very fast and like you put exactly, you put the paper to bed 1 week and you got to do it all again the next week. So it is like constant. But I didn't realise how much stress I was under. And, you know, I woke up thinking, oh, my God, you know.
Yeah.
And my husband said to me, you know, you don't have to go back to work if you don't want to. And I'm like, what? I'd never not worked in my life.
Yeah.
So that gave me a chance to think, what do I want to do? Because I didn't have to do something for the money. So it was a gift. You know, it was a real gift. And I thought, what do I want to do? And I'd always been interested in holistic therapy. And so I went to college. You know, I went to college as an adult and did my diploma. And and that's how I got started in doing the holistics. Because I'm never going to stop helping people in one way. I can't. You know,
it's you, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, I've had so many bad things happen, not just like in the health thing, but like with the tenants, and oh my God, it's been an absolute shitstorm. And I vowed I'm never going to help anyone ever again.
That didn't last long.
Yeah, no. Because it was just so hurtful. I felt so betrayed, you know, when seriously, you know, what I've done in the property world was I've housed women that have been domestically abused. And that's all been great. And they're very grateful in the beginning. And then, you know, but people forget what you've done for them. So, and it's just been really challenging.
Yeah.
And I felt a bit betrayed.
I'm not surprised.
And very hurt. And I just thought, what am I doing? You know, I care more about people than they care about themselves. I got to stop doing that. So, but I can't
Or directing it to the wrong people anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to go back to doing something that I loved.
Yeah.
Because as much as I'm good at property, it was never my passion.
No.
It was a means to an end. And, but I've always been interested in health. I've always been interested in helping people, empower them so that they can do it themselves. I don't want to do it for them.
Okay, yeah. That's
the big key. That's the big lesson. It's like I've always been trying to do it for them, like helping them, gifting them, doing something when actually you need to empower them so that they can help themselves.
Absolutely. That goes perfectly back to what you said about people taking responsibility.
Yeah.
Doesn't it, for their own health? And that is fundamental, isn't it? I mean, we live in a society now where everything is given to us, but it's not all good, is it?
And there's an expectation or an entitlement. There are some people, not everybody, but there are some people that feel entitled, whether that's to your time, to your money, to your being, that they feel that it's okay.
Yeah.
And especially if you're a giver, then you have to have really strong boundaries.
Yeah.
Because there are people that will just take and take and take.
Absolutely, yeah. That's something I've learned through my healing journey, is the importance of boundaries. And like you say, the gift of hindsight, it's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Yeah. It's a wonderful thing. Makes you want to kick yourself repeatedly, but it's a wonderful thing nonetheless. It's very accurate. Is looking back and seeing that I didn't really understand the concept of boundaries before.
Yeah.
And they're important. Yes, I still make mistakes. I'm still on my journey, and I don't mind admitting that. I think I'll be on the journey until the day I die, but I'm certainly far more awake, far more spiritual, far more grateful for what I have around me than what I was 6 or 7 years ago.
And we're human. We're human beings having an experience.
Yeah. And didn't we meet on a wonderful experience?
Such an amazing experience. It was so lovely. I mean, and I was pretty, I was going to say the word broken, but that's not the right word. I was very emotional at that retreat. I was carrying a lot at that retreat. And it was such a gift. It was such a gift because obviously I met such wonderful people, but you became a sister to me there. It was so, I love how the synchronicity of how things work out. And, people come into our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And I say that to my kids all the time. But I know that you come into my life at just the perfect time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it was a wonderful retreat.
Oh, it was a wonderful retreat, wasn't it? But we were just, I completely agree with what you're saying, but we were just so meant to be together because I'd put out an advert for this, a message in the WhatsApp group. Advert's way too grand. Because we had to hire our own accommodation and I'd found an Airbnb nearby. There was myself and somebody else taking 2 of the 3 bedrooms and I just put it in the WhatsApp group. And this lady called Pollyanna says, yep, I'll take it. And I thought, yep, that's fine then. Didn't know you from Adam.
Absolutely. We'd never met prior to that. Never met. And it's only a year ago.
Yeah.
And it feels so bizarre because I feel like you've been in my life
forever.
All the time. Yeah.
And which is wonderful, isn't it? I mean, there's just such strong bonds there. We've got the same values, we've got the same ethics, completely different personalities. That doesn't matter. And that's what part of our strength. But, different experiences, but we've come to a similar point in our journeys where we want the same things. We want to help people. Yeah. We want to move people towards being empowered about themselves and the way they are. And I'm super, super hoping that the beginnings of our journey to actually being able to practice this together are starting to form. It's in the beginning stages, isn't it?
But it is in the beginning stages. However, we are backed with years and years of experience.
Oh, loads.
So, and I think that's the blessing of being the age that I am, and yourself, you're behind me, but you're
not by much.
Yeah, coming up, is that you learn what's important, and the things that aren't important just fall away.
Yeah.
And you do have wisdom. You do have wisdom to impart, and whether anyone listens to you or not is something completely different. However, the years of experience, what we really need is we need help.
We do.
And I'm going to ask for help.
Ask away.
Because I've learned how to ask for help. We need a venue that we can run our beautiful clinic from.
We do.
So if anyone knows of something that they think will be suitable, then please get in touch.
Please do.
Because, Sheffield or around the north. Yeah.
That would be glorious.
Yeah. So that we can have a base where we can get all the technology, there's so many great things. I mean, we've got LifeWave, which is just a whole nother thing completely. Tiny patches that do awesome things, take people out of pain, just give them back their life. And we've got all these vitamins, you've got your injections and we've got Reiki, we've got healing.
I mean, just between us, you'll bring the LifeWave, the Reiki, the Scanar.
We've got Scanar. It's a TENS machine on steroids.
Yes, that's exactly my words. Yeah.
It's amazing and great. I did a lot of sports injuries with that. It's great. It takes people out of pain. And it's non-invasive, It helps people if they have surgery, if they like to avoid surgery. It's such a handheld device.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
It is.
Come and try it out. You can even buy it and do it on yourself.
You can.
So,
minimal training needed to just do the basic stuff.
Yeah, to take yourself out of pain. I mean, obviously I've done training and mine's a professional machine, but you can do it, rather than keep coming. And that's why I'm saying take responsibility.
Absolutely. So come
and find out, see how it feels. Yeah. See how it works.
So you're bringing all of that.
Yeah.
Plus your wonderfulness and your business acumen. I'll bring the intravenous multivitamins, multi-nutrients. I'll bring some clinical hypnotherapy if people want that. What else will I bring? I will bring the activator supplements.
Yeah.
And I will also bring the molecular hydrogen water.
Which will be amazing. That in itself is fantastic.
It's just mind-blowing, isn't it?
I know. And then we're going to have some super, super duper equipment as well.
Oh, the equipment is beyond. I was lucky enough to experience some of it this weekend. And I just haven't stopped smiling since. I mean, you know me, I'm quite a smiley, joyful person anyway. But I was driving home last night, it took me 3 hours, driving home in the dark and the rain. It rained the whole way up. And I smiled the whole way. Because inner peace. Yeah.
I had the same experience when I was with Theo a few weeks ago, and I had to drive, and it's just under 200 miles. And he gave me some bags of water. I'd had a treatment and I had the water. And even though I drove late in the night and I didn't actually get back till about 1, 2 in the morning, I was fine.
Yeah.
Didn't feel tired. I felt fantastic.
Yeah.
So it is amazing. But, the testimonial, we're going off topic here. Theo will tell you more about it when he's on your podcast, but he has so many testimonials.
He does. And the thought that all the incredible technologies that we can offer to people at prices they can afford as well. When you think, if you buy yourself a coffee every day or a bottle of pop every day, or if you drink bottled water every day, that cost adds up, especially if you're buying it for a whole family. If you could replace that with something that's actually going to make you healthy and keep you healthy for the same or maybe even less, to me, that is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You know, you get to live your life to the fullest because you don't hurt anymore, because you can breathe.
Yeah.
Because you're just not suffering. And I'm just like, oh, please, we need to bring this to the masses.
We've got so much to offer.
I know.
And it's, I mean, I would love to run Reiki clinics as well, Reiki attunements, so that people can do it themselves. Again, like come and experience Reiki and see how it feels and see. Yeah. I mean, the worst thing that will happen is you'll feel relaxed. You know, that's the worst thing.
Awful?
Yeah, exactly. The worst thing that happens if you have a Reiki treatment. But then attune yourself. I mean, my children grew up with Reiki. And even to this day, you know, they'll say to me, oh, Mum, can you Reiki my tummy? You know, if they've got a pain or whatever. They don't go to the medicine cabinet. No, they ask for Reiki. They've all been attuned. And that is amazing.
Yeah.
And I think everyone in the world should have that.
I completely agree. But this generation in particular have grown up, most of them, saying, you know, well, I've got an ache and a pain, so I go to the doctor and I get a tablet.
Don't get a tablet. Yeah.
And that seems to be the way people are brainwashed, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
And all these wonderful, natural, traditional healing methods that have been around for generations and generations have been pushed to one side.
Yeah.
And every single guest I have on my podcast is hopefully doing a little bit to pull them back in again.
Yeah.
And, you know, all of these people that have been on the podcast are going to be available through our wonderful new base. So please, somebody find us somewhere glorious in Sheffield, preferably, or in the nearer regions around it that we can just start offering this fabulousness.
Absolutely. And that's the only thing that's holding us back right now, is having somewhere to actually, that we could equip and get people, you know, what they need. Yeah. And we've got so much to offer. Yeah. It is really good.
Yeah. A life of health without worrying about the interactions of taking multiple medications.
And that was the experience you had. I know that when someone has cancer and they have chemo, they had, like my friend had a whole box of drugs, but each drug was to the counter for the side effects of the other one. It was like, okay, you need the anti-nausea for the chemo, and then you need, because that's going to give you constipation, you need this drug, and then because that's going to do that, you need this drug. And honestly, it was just ridiculous.
Yeah. Let's find other ways of doing that. Because who knows what the interactions are. I know Tony said when he was on this podcast, when he was on a lot of medications, that he once asked his doctor, so what effects is this having on me? And that particular doctor that he asked didn't know. As a doctor myself, I'm suggesting that people that are on many, many medications, we don't know.
No.
And I know it's something that if anybody's ever admitted to our intensive care unit, that we look at the polypharmacy and see if we can reduce the amount of medications that they're on, safely, of course, you know, and to reduce any potential risks. So it's in every back of everybody's mind, but there needs to be more than one or two people doing it.
I think that it needs to be more highlighted about taking the common tablets like paracetamol and the one I can't say, Nurofen, that it does ruin your stomach lining and your colon and everything else. And then you get tears, and then that creates all sorts of problems. Yeah.
Things that you just might not think.
People just think, oh, it's okay. It's just, and they literally take paracetamol like Smarties. Yeah. But they don't realise the long-term damage that they're doing to their body. And yes, it will take you out of pain for 4 hours until you pop the next one. Yeah. Why not just get rid of the pain in the first place, you know, do it properly.
And there we go. And that's what we're looking to do, isn't it? And all the healers that I have on this podcast are looking at treating the root causes of these things, not just addressing the symptoms. They're looking to go deeper than that and to go into why the body is manifesting Because often it's to do with your mental, spiritual and emotional health, that your body manifests it as a way of saying, come on, do something.
Yeah. You're so true. It's so true. You know, and Reiki is very good for that. You know, some people will have a Reiki, what they call a Reiki crisis, because what it does, it brings up the problem to be solved. So if
you're not ready.
Exactly. So, and you have to warn people before they have a Reiki treatment that might happen. So when that happens, that they're ready and that you can support them through it. And it may be, you know, that they have like a detox and have flu-like symptoms or something like that. Or sometimes they just need to cry and like have a deep sobbing crying experience because it's a release.
Yeah.
It's a release, and crying is not bad. It is a really good way to release stored emotion.
Yeah.
And so you need to get it
past
through.
that stigma.
Absolutely.
Oh, for goodness sake, especially in fellas. Oh no, men don't cry.
Yeah.
What a load of tosh.
Yeah. And it's so healthy. It's so healthy to cry.
Yeah.
And to release that emotion. I think that what I hate what's going on right now in the world, and I hate that it's so fear-driven and it's palpable, and that is really challenging me right now. Yeah. I really I don't like it. I don't like it for anybody, but people need to drop into love, because there are only two base emotions, and that's fear and love. So if you're constantly running your life in fear, you're going to get limited results, or you're going to get negative results. Whereas if you can drop into love, and it's easier to say than do, of course, we're human and we're surrounded by things that are meant to scare us or trying to scare us. And it's billion-dollar industry that you have all the media, they're all trying to push their own agenda. And you have to be awake to see what's going on and trying to drop into love. And the first thing you got to do is love yourself.
Yeah, and that can be so hard.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's where the healing comes in, isn't it? To try and make you aware of who you are in the first place, so that you can begin to love yourself.
Yeah. You know, part of my healing journey that I've been on is that I don't actually have to help anyone. That I'm enough just as I am.
You certainly are.
But but that's been a journey. It's been a journey because I feel it's part of who I am.
Yeah.
I don't like not helping people. But I've had to help myself first.
Yes.
I've had to put my own oxygen mask on first. And that was really challenging. I had to say no so many times. I've had to let people down. I've let people down. And it was so hard for me. It's so hard because it's not in my DNA. So it was really, really challenging.
Yeah. It's hard to learn that no is a complete sentence, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's a great sentence. It's the most powerful sentence that you can ever say sometimes.
Yeah.
But being able to be okay in yourself is huge.
Yeah.
It's huge because most people sleepwalk through their life and they don't even know why they're doing something. They don't know why they're doing the job that they hate. They don't know why they're with the person that they don't like very much. They don't know why they're doing these things, you know.
I reckon lots of people's bells are going to be dinging with that last sentence.
But because they're just sleepwalking through their life. And sometimes they're not brave enough. They know what they need to do, but they're not brave enough because they feel that they won't be enough on their own or changing the job or whatever it is that is holding them stuck.
So they need us and healers like us to empower them.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're here for a purpose. We're on a mission.
Definitely feel I'm on a mission.
Yeah.
But with love, with 100%. Deep love.
100%. It comes from a place
of judgment.
No.
Yeah.
No. It comes from a place of giving, doesn't it? And wanting to aid that person to be the best of themselves so that they can do it for themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, makes me go all warm and fuzzy inside.
Because you're enough in yourself, because your own cup is overflowing, that you can afford to give rather than, just keep giving and giving and then having an empty vessel or a leaky bucket, however you want to
Yeah, it's a good analogy, that, isn't it?
Yeah. So that, it just because you become drained and broken in the process because you give too much. And I know that I'm sure a lot of people have done that. It's a common experience, far too common. But, and especially as women, we're trained to be of service. And so it's hard to not feel selfish when you actually do something for yourself.
Yeah, but it's not at all selfish, is it?
No. Put your oxygen mask on, look after yourself, say no, get your boundaries.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Bruno?
He's fast asleep. Can hear him snoring.
Well, he's enjoyed it then, hasn't he?
Yeah. Well, he was well behaved. As long as I'm here, he's fine.
Yeah, we've lulled him off to sleep, haven't we? Well, I'm sure we'll be able to come back and revisit this as things progress.
Oh, I think we've got an exciting journey for the next year, for sure.
Oh, I can't wait. Just bring it on. I'm ready for it now.
Absolutely. Me too.
Good.
Yeah. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Yay.